Platinum Games' next big game is just around the corner. Bayonetta 3 releases in just a week, but instead of anticipation, the game is plagued by a major scandal. On the 15th of October, Hellena Taylor, the previous voice actress of Bayonetta, spoke out on Twitter about the negotiations with Platinum Games and that she was only getting paid peanuts. In 3 emotionally charged videos, she complained about these conditions and that someone with as much experience as her deserved a fair and livable wage. Platinum Games was said to have offered her only $4,000 for voicing Bayonetta in the entire game, something that she considers well below her worth.
The final offer to do the whole game as a buyout, a flat rate, was $4,000 US. This is an insult to me. The amount of time that I took to work on my talent and everything that I have given to this game and to the fans.
At the same time, she called for a big boycott, saying that no one should buy Bayonetta 3 and rather donate the money instead.
I am asking the fans to boycott this game and instead spend the money that you would have spent on this game donating it to charity.
So the negotiations with Platinum Games had failed for her, and it was unimaginable to her to voice Bayonetta in the entire game for only $4,000. One of the gaming industry's biggest shitstorms resulted from these videos, which have now been seen by more than 10 million people. Fans and even outsiders were shocked that Taylor was offered so little for voicing Bayonetta, and Twitter accounts of Platinum Games as well as her new voice actress were massively attacked. For example, the account of Hideki Kamiya, who plays an important role within Platinum Games, but who is also known for his very childish behavior on Twitter. As expected, he didn't give a professional response, but only a tweet that says the following: "Sad and deplorable about the attitude of untruth. That's what all I can tell now. By the way, beware of my rules." In the first part of the tweet, he states that Taylor is lying about the incidents. In the second part, he talks about the rules of his Twitter account, because he is a very weird guy. If you don't want to get blocked by him, you can't ask him repeated questions, give him advice, tag him in conversations, and other things. It has become a meme by now that just about everyone who interacts with him has been blocked by him. This very unprofessional handling of the situation only reinforced fans' suspicions that Platinum Games wanted to exploit Taylor, and all the hatred towards him briefly led to his profile no longer being available. I don't know if he was responsible for that himself, or if Twitter intervened. For days, the internet was on fire. The new Bayonetta game was dead to many people, and Taylor was the innocence in person. Questioning the whole thing, however, very few did. Those who hadn't mindlessly participated in the witch hunt had noticed that some things seemed odd. If Platinum Games were so greedy and wanted to exploit voice actors, why did they choose Jennifer Hale, one of the most renowned and successful people in the industry, as Hellena Taylor's replacement? After all, this would have been much more expensive, and she would not have done it for the little money either. In addition, some people noticed that Taylor didn't seem to have a role for 8 years. Combine that with the fact that Taylor had broken the NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, in the Twitter video, and she seemed more than just unprofessional.
I am not afraid of the non-disclosure agreement. I can't even afford to run a car. What are they going to do, take my clothes?
Likewise, the claim that the Bayonetta franchise made about 450 million in sales was a bit odd.
Bayonetta franchise made an approximated $450 million. That's not including merchandise.
Bayonetta is a strong niche franchise. Bayonetta 1 was a flop, so the series was supposed to end after that. Platinum Games' desire for a Bayonetta 2 was denied by many publishers, as they saw no potential in Bayonetta's future. Only Nintendo recognized the game maker's visions and decided to support Bayonetta 2. Bayonetta 2 then flopped on the Wii U, and it is believed that the invest even made a loss. Less than 500,000 sales is nothing for a game of this caliber, and it's believed that only by porting it to the Nintendo Switch was it ultimately able to turn a profit. No one on the internet could find a source for the 450 million in sales that Taylor cited, and due to the low sales numbers of the games, such a number would simply have never come about. But what bothered me personally the most was how she talked about the new voice actress Hale. Instead of treating her with respect, she said that she had no right to be Bayonetta, since she created that voice herself.
They now have a new girl voicing her over. And I love actors, I wish her all the joy in the world. I wish her all the jobs, but she has no right to say she is the voice of Bayonetta. I created that voice. She has no right to sign merchandise as Bayonetta.
So to say that there seemed to be something fishy going on in this whole story would almost be an understatement. On the 18th of October, it came out that the story was not actually quite true, and large parts of the story were lies. In an investigative piece by Bloomberg, the media outlet reported their new findings on the situation. Taylor had not been offered $4,000 for voicing the entire game, but $3,000 to $4,000 per session. There were to be 5 sessions of 4 hours each, resulting in an amount of at least $15,000. $15,000 for about 20 hours of work. That's about 4 times the industry standard. In a later offer, she was even offered a cameo in the game, worth a recording session of $3,000 to $4,000. These incidents were confirmed by several other media outlets, who had also seen the contracts, so it seems Taylor was simply lying about the offer. Of course, there is also the possibility that the news got false information, but since there are several independent parties reporting this, it seems very unlikely, especially since she had already been proven to have lied about other things, like sales numbers. In the same article, we also find out what the asking price that Taylor was hiding so far actually was. In the video, she modestly said the following:
I didn't want the world, I didn't ask for too much, I was just asking for a decent, dignified living wage. What they did was legal, but it was immoral.
What she actually wanted, however, was a 6-figure amount for 20 hours of work, which was simply too much for Platinum Games. This would be at least 20 times the normal industry pay for a voice actress whose only major role was voicing Bayonetta. Amounts of this magnitude are not even paid to the top earners in this industry for this amount of work. The offer she was given was even significantly higher than the amount she got for Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2, but that didn't stop her from asking for much more. Funnily enough, it was Twitter clown Hideki Kamiya himself who on the same day revealed that they offered her $15,000, which nobody took seriously because hey, the image of an evil organization exploiting little innocent voice actors works surprisingly well these days. Since the whole thing is still developing at the moment, it's hard to say what the consequences of the story will be. I'm convinced that Taylor will have a very hard time in the future, because on the one hand, she'll probably get into legal trouble for breaking NDA, but she might also have problems finding new clients. At the very least, I find it hard to imagine that after this incident, many would still want to work with a person who not only appears to lie to achieve a goal, but also breaks existing contracts. But what can perhaps be learned from the story? For one, that you should always wait until both sides of the story are available. Believing one side blindly on an obviously questionable story ultimately helps no one and only causes people to get undeserved hate. At the same time, however, there is still a grain of truth behind Taylor's story. Voice actors are often underpaid, seemingly especially in anime, and making a living off of it is very difficult for many. More and more stories about the exploitation of voice actors are coming to light, and these should be given full attention so that this industry changes for the better once and for all.